Hey everyone, welcome back to Carrie's Thrifty Farmhouse, where I bring you high-end inspired decor for a fraction of the price. Today I'm back with more Farmhouse home decor DIYs. I'm creating 3 Dollar Tree spring decor pieces with a St. Patrick's Day theme in mind. I'm also excited to participate again in the Sign Wednesday collab hosted by Yanni and Diane from Deco Easy and Eileen from Crafty Leanie. I'll post a link to both their channels in the description box below, as well as a playlist for the challenge, so be sure to check them out and see what everyone comes up with. The playlist is always full of creative inspiration, so I'm sure it won't disappoint. If you enjoy this video, I would love for you to like, comment, and hopefully subscribe so I can grow my channel. Now with all the formalities out of the way, let's hop into the projects. For my first project, I was inspired by the Shiplap walls I've seen around in home design forums, so I thought I'd create a smaller version using a Dollar Tree shamrock sign and tongue depressor sized craft sticks. I started out with this wood shamrock sign from Dollar Tree that has the hearts on it, but I flipped it over and I'm going to be using the back. I removed the hanger from the sign and then started setting the sticks out to get a rough estimate of how I wanted to line them up and also gauge how many I needed. These craft sticks are from the Crafter Square section of Dollar Tree, and they're larger than popsicle sticks, more like tongue depressor size. I knew I wanted varying colors, and I've seen people use coffee to stain wood before, so I thought I'd give it a try. I added some coffee to a small Tupperware tub and added some of my sticks. I let them sit in the coffee for about a minute and then dried them off with a paper towel. I wasn't super happy with the color though. I thought it was too orangey and I was going for more gray tones for my design, so I decided to try to remedy this by using Waverly Antique Wax. I just brushed it on generously with a paintbrush, waited a couple minutes, and then wiped it off with a paper towel. You guys, I still wasn't happy with the color, so I decided to give them a grayish tone by dabbing on some of the mineral color by Waverly chalk paint, which is available at Walmart. I used a stencil pouncer to add the paint, then used a baby wipe to blend it. This gave it the light grayish tone I was going for, so I was finally happy with it. I knew I wanted a few accent pieces in dark gray, so next I used the elephant color by Waverly and followed the same technique of brushing it on, then using a baby wipe to blend it. For the remaining sticks, I used a technique of dry brushing on some of the Waverly Antique Wax sparingly over the sticks. Then I used a stencil pouncer again to add some of the mineral color, and finally brushed on some of the antique wax I had diluted with some water. I wiped the excess off with paper towels. Because the sticks each had their own grain to the wood, and because of the different amounts of the different colors, the technique gave great variation to the sticks, which was just what I wanted. Next, I lined the sticks up to give myself a rough idea of how I wanted to line them up on the sign. Then it was time to transfer the sticks to the sign. I worked one row at a time and found it easiest to mark the sticks from the back. The only thing I ran into was that the sticks wouldn't stay in place when I turned the sign over, so I ended up using glue dots to hold them in place to get a nice, precise line. It was really easy to cut the sticks, especially the ones that I had floated in coffee because they were still a little wet, which made the wood softer. I used hot glue to attach the sticks and moved on to the next row. Each row I varied where the slat lines were to give it good dimension. So when one line had a break to the right, I made sure to make the break in the next line to the middle or to the left. I wanted it to be really random, not even like subway tile where every other line lines up. As I worked, I started to get a little more gutsy and started gluing the sticks down in place before cutting along the edges. That method worked well until I got to the middle part where there is a deep V between these two leaves. I wasn't able to cut with scissors, so here you see me struggling to cut the stick with an X-Acto knife. If you decide to duplicate this, I would recommend using the glue dot method and cut the pieces with scissors prior to gluing the sticks down, at least in those tricky areas between the leaves. I was worried I wouldn't have enough pieces to finish, so for the stem I used scraps from the previous sticks to conserve the larger ones. I lined them up on the stem with glue dots and traced the lines all at once to speed the process along. And I'm sorry I'm almost off screen. Sometimes I get so involved in the process that I forget I'm even filming. I completed the bottom with the remaining whole pieces and had just enough to avoid painting more. And here it is on my kitchen counter. I absolutely love how this turned out, and I think it looks amazing with my woodland gnome and mossy Kirkland's pot from previous projects. I love the texture it has, and it offers a great modern farmhouse look to my decor. My next project is super quick and easy, these fun little copper looking pots with wild overgrown greenery. I started out with a pack of these St. Patrick's Day plastic pots from Dollar Tree, which come in a pack of 5. I gave them a quick coat of black chalk paint. It may seem weird to paint something black that's already black, but plastic can be tricky, so I wanted to have a nice base layer for my other paints. Chalk paint is great for painting plastic because it adheres better than regular acrylic craft paint, so it's less likely to chip off later. I heard the tornado sirens going off, so I had to pause my voiceovers for my dog Pepper's weekly howl back. I caught it on camera for your viewing pleasure. I knew it would be trial and error to get the look I had in my head, and it definitely was. First, I tried the metallic copper color by Folk Art. I used a dry sponge, dipped it in the paint, and dabbed most of it off before pouncing it onto the pot. I wasn't happy with the result though. It was way too dark and the metallic sheen didn't come through enough. Next, I tried the same technique with the dry sponge, but first I layered on the gold metallic color also by Folk Art. I followed it with the same copper color. The result was a little closer to what I wanted, but I still didn't think it looked like the aged copper color I had in my head. Then I decided to try just one more combination and found my Goldilocks color. What I did was mix a tiny bit of the gold paint in with the copper. I'd say it was about 3 or 4 parts copper to 1 part gold. I mixed it thoroughly, which resulted in a new color instead of the layered look from the previous try. So here I'm showing the 3 different pots. It's definitely worth using trial and error on small pieces like this, so now I know the perfect combination to achieve the aged copper look so I can use it on other pieces. I saw these great new spring florals at Dollar Tree and I grabbed them up. They have great texture and color variation, so I think they look really natural. I just snipped off a few stems and stuck them into the pots. I wanted them to look really wild and overgrown. And here they are with my little woodland gnome again. Side note, he's turning out to be one of my very favorite spring decor items, so I'll link that tutorial in the box below. But anyway, doesn't he kind of look like he was guarding pots of gold and they sat so long that they started sprouting wild greens? That copper technique is so easy and I'm already thinking of other ways to use it. For my last project today, I'm duplicating a St. Patrick's Day sign I made a couple weeks ago using a large wooden tray I got at the thrift store. Only this time I'm showing how you can achieve the same look for even less using a pizza pan from the Dollar Tree. I started out by giving the pan a little sanding with 220 grit sandpaper. This scuffs it up a little bit so the paint will stick to it better. I started out by covering the tray with Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. I like using chalk paint because it's thicker than regular acrylic craft paint, which means fewer coats, and it adheres to almost anything. This plaster color is also the perfect off-white color, so I use it in a lot of my projects. It did take 2 coats to get good coverage. Next, I'm using the mineral color by Waverly to give the tray a distressed look. For this technique, I use the oldest brush I have that has bits of old paint stuck to it, so it lays down really uneven lines. I dip the brush in the paint and dab most of it off before lightly brushing onto the tray. I move the brush in the same direction back and forth across the surface, so it looks almost like wood grain showing through. You can do as much or as little distressing as you like to achieve your desired look. I liked it to look weathered, but not too chippy. You may remember that I did a gold shamrock on the other tray. I wanted this to be a good companion piece, but not exactly the same, so I used my favorite word swag app to create the word lucky. I liked the font penmanship for a fun but easy to read script. I just printed it out in the size I liked and then used my Arteza carbon paper to transfer it to the piece. I have a tutorial on the word swag app to show how to layer fonts for signs, so I'll link that below as well. And a quick note on carbon paper. They're not all created equal. I've mentioned this Arteza paper in many of my videos before. It's my very favorite brand to use because I'm left-handed and tend to drag my hand, and this is the first paper I've used that didn't result in any smudges. I'm not affiliated with Arteza or WordSwag. I just like to share products that work for me. Now I'm using a gold paint pen from Dollar Tree to fill in the lettering. I have to say that these metallic paint pens may be my new favorite item from Dollar Tree. They can definitely compete with more expensive brands. It doesn't disperse too much paint to where I can't follow a precise line, but it also lets out enough paint so it's easy to fill in objects. It's the perfect balance. And I'm pretty proud of myself. I know I always mention my left-handedness, but somehow I always seem to forget about it and forget to work from right to left. But this time I didn't, so yay for not having to turn the sign and make you guys dizzy. I'm all about the small wins over here. I finished filling in the letters and the piece was complete. And here it is on my kitchen counter next to my other tray. I just love how this turned out. It gives a St. Patty's flair to my kitchen, but is still neutral to blend with my other decor. This project was quick and easy and budget friendly, my favorite combination. Thanks for joining me today. If you found me from the Sign Wednesday playlist, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you can stay up to date with my content. I have lots of spring DIYs headed your way to get us out of those winter blues, so stay tuned for those. See you next time. Bye.